Ah, new sponsor. Not that one. Yo, what's going on, friends, and welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. Welcome home. I do hope you're doing well, mate. I really do hope that, as always, and welcome back to Chelsea News, which is the daily series here on this channel, Football Therapy, where I reflect on what's being said about Chelsea, giving you my thoughts on it, but as always, more importantly, asking for yours. And in today's video, we're reacting to, that's right, Chelsea have a new sponsor. Not Haier, the washing machine brand, or whatever it was going to be. Another one. And no, it's not front of shirt, although apparently we're still looking. We're going to get updates from The Athletic on this. Similarly, on The Athletic, we're going to get a nice little update about Liam Delap, who I think we're really missing. Potentially more than people realise. So also we'll hop onto The Athletic to learn a little bit about that. When's he coming back? And then we're going to dive back into some statistical comparisons because I find them fun. Many of you do as well, so that would be good. We're going to look at some goalkeepers. Yeah, Chelsea goalkeepers. Wingers, Alejandro Garnacho versus Jamie Gittins. The battle of the underwhelming left-sided attacker. Who is going to win the hearts of Chelsea fans? And more importantly, I suppose, Enzo Maresca for the moment. And finally, Emmanuel Omega, of course, a striker who is joining Chelsea after the season. I mean, I keep forgetting we're signing this geezer, or we've signed this geezer and he's joining. So a little stat comparison, maybe with Nico Jackson, the guy he's ostensibly replacing, I suppose, for a lot less money, because we'll probably sell Jackson for a lot of money, and Omega is probably nothing, because we're buying him from ourselves, essentially. So yes, welcome in, get comfortable, pour yourself a drink. It's going to be a nice, fun video. I'll hopefully do a instant match review after the Champions League game tonight, but should I fail that, I'll do it in the morning. A lot of people watch my channel in UK time morning, so we'll see what happens there. But thanks for joining me. Thank you as always for supporting this content, for doing those likes and subscriptions and hype points. Every day we get closer to 200,000 subscribers, and you can be the difference, my friend. Alright then, let's get into it. Simon Johnson of The Athletic writes the following. Chelsea have agreed a new shirt sleeve sponsorship deal with FPT Corporation for the rest of the season. They are in the closing stages of finding a new front of shirt sponsor too. Firstly, that one paragraph says a lot. It's a sleeve sponsor. It's for the rest of the season. It's like Infinite Athlete all over again. You couldn't even lock down a new long-term sponsor, another temporary one, till the end of the season. But apparently we're closing in on a new front of shirt sponsor, which of course is huge news, unless it's another till the end of the season. Better than nothing, I guess. FPT, which is based in Vietnam and one of the Asia Pacific's most successful technology solutions providers, were keen to upgrade their relationship with the club, having initially joined as a global partner back in April. Chelsea President and Chief Operating Officer Jason Gannon and President of Commercial Todd Klein played a key role in negotiations. The deal is in line with the value of other top Premier League clubs, that what they've secured, and we'll see FPT on the sleeves of the men's, women's and academy teams. It will be seen for the first time in Chelsea's Champions League game against Ajax tonight. Well, no messing there. The club has begun the season without a shirt sleeve partner. Live Nation, who remain a partner at Chelsea, they did add their company on the shirts from early February to, of course, the Club World Cup final. Chelsea's strong conclusion to the 24-25 campaign triggered even more competition to become their shirt sleeve sponsor. In May, they finished 4th in the Premier League, of course, to qualify for the Champions League, won the Conference League, and then, of course, slapped up PSG in the Club World Cup final. My words, not Simon Johnson's. So yes, what we've been hearing, Chelsea did really well last season. Really raised their profile. Lots of sponsors want them. Why are we then nearing the end of October and we haven't sorted any of this out yet? More companies entered the bidding process for the sleeve sponsorship, and many of them are trying to gonna try again for next season, I suppose. This being temporary, that makes sense. Meanwhile, sources speaking anonymously to The Athletic to protect their relationships say Chelsea's thorough process to find a front of shirt sponsor is nearing a conclusion. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I mean, it's going to be a big day, isn't it? It shouldn't be. It should be historically one of those things like, oh, I'm not really interested in this. Sponsorship, well, whatever, let's get on with it. What does it look like? Did it look good on the kits? But it's been just this like mental leading narrative for Chelsea. and it would finally be coming to an end. It would be like a Andy Dufresne, the man who crawled through a tunnel of and came clean out the other side. That's my I'm Morgan Freeman. Hold on, I can do better. I'm Morgan Freeman. I can't do any better. Anyway, Shawshank Redemption, you know? At the end, when he comes out, the rain washing him clean from being in a tunnel of excrement. That's how I feel. While Gannon and Klein again to the fore, there are now less than a handful of discussions with companies taking place. They are very advanced, and a final decision is expected in the near term. What does near term mean, you whoppers? Negotiations have included the prospect of being a multi-faceted partnership, which goes beyond just having the company's name displayed on the Chelsea kit. I guess like other teams have this, don't they? Like the Etihad, Emirates, stadiums, shirt sponsors, you know, all over the gaff, really. Chelsea's bid to find a front of shirt sponsor has been taking place since Todd Boehly and Clearlake took over the club 3 years ago. Absolutely chicken oriental. Chelsea's pre-existing shirt sponsorship agreement with Mobile Company 3, which commenced in 2020, expired at the end of 22-23, and the 23-24 season began without a sponsor. But then, of course, we wrangled the Infinite Athlete deal, which was like £40 million for the season, which, considering everything, was pretty good cash. Last season, nothing was in place until Dubai-based property company Delap came on board in April for 7 games, not including the Club World Cup. Chelsea have been talking to a number of major companies for several months, with the focus on finding the right partner rather than rushing to get it done. With the club's profile growing higher once more after winning 2 major trophies and playing the Champions League again, it's made them even more attractive proposition and helped their bargaining position. Right, he's basically saying, yeah, we've got a new sponsor, sleeve sponsor, yeah, only temporary to the end of the season, yeah. We heard that. You said it's only a temporary sleeve sponsor. Oh no, yeah, of course, the front of shirt sponsor. Oh yeah, that's nearly done. Loads of companies want it. We've done really well. I mean, this reeks of a briefing, doesn't it? Don't worry, everyone stay calm. A front of shirt sponsor is coming. I guess it would be though, right? Because it's absolutely ruddy ridiculous we don't have one. So it's time, yeah? Pull your thumbs out of your... yeah. Let's get it done. Alright, let's move on and speak about Liam Delap. Simon Johnson also writes on The Athletic, Chelsea have been boosted by the news that Liam Delap is just days away from returning to training following a hamstring injury. Of course, he's 22 years old. He's been out since suffering a problem against Fulham on August the 30th. The Athletic revealed he would not be able to play again until November, and he is now on course to feature early next month. Wow, that's actually huge news, because everyone started saying recently, no, it's going to be December, that'll be the new year at this point, mate. But early next month, that's days away. That is huge. Of course, the forward joined Chelsea for 30 million quid, an absolute bargain, mate, in June, and he will be given time to get fully match fit before being made available for selection. Maresca said Liam is very close. He's not working with us yet. He's still out, but hopefully he can start in the next days and take parts in sessions with us. This is huge, man. Massive news. Also, Enzo Fernandez returning to the side's good. We looked at his stats yesterday, actually, Fernandez. If you haven't watched yesterday's video, I'd urge you to go check it out because, yeah, it gives you a really good indicator of how good Enzo Fernandez has actually been for Chelsea. And it's surprisingly good. I knew he ran a lot, but his creative and goal-scoring metrics and stuff and assisting, it's very good. But look, I won't bang this drum too much. We've been over and over the state of affairs at Chelsea, which is we need a proper conventional centre-forward to start. Not necessarily so we can score goals, but to make the players behind said centre-forward much better. We all saw the example recently of Mark Guew, not even doing anything too complex, graceful or cultured, or even that tactically disciplined. I don't want to be too reductive because he is a La Masia Barcelona striker, but it is a little bit like, you know, Hulk smash. Do you know what I mean? You go do that, and then all the players behind you, the smaller, more diminutive, technical, creative players, have space to breathe, have space to pop off shots, which is massive. I keep saying it, I think Joao Pedro would be the player to benefit most from a striker playing, whether that's Guew starting, hopefully he will tonight, or indeed the reintroduction of Liam Delap, who we've seen operate at a high level in the Premier League. I want to see him back in the Chelsea side. Of course, in the absence of Cole Palmer, who we won't see for a little while, Joao Pedro for me is the obvious number 10. A little bit more direct than your classic number 10. It will be more of a second striker role. A little bit of what Nkunku should have been for Chelsea. But we've seen it work, and I think he'll do very, very well indeed there playing behind Delap. I want to see it. Bring him back into the side. Massively positive news for Chelsea. Right then, this next part of the video, we're going to do some statistical comparisons using both the comparison matrices, sexy words indeed, of understats.com and DataMB to do some comparisons. Now, I wanted to start off with Emmanuel Omega because he is coming to Chelsea. We know from what Fabrizio Romano and other, journalists and outlets have said that Nico Jackson's done. Even if Bayern Munich don't buy him, someone will. He'll be a really good striker option for someone. Even if Chelsea don't get 70 million to 100 million, what they originally wanted, they will probably double their money on Nico Jackson regardless. And, the relationship's broken between him and Maresca, so it's great profit for the club, even if it's perhaps not as much as they'd wanted. I mean, I've seen he's been starting with Harry Kane at Bayern Munich. He's been starting as the striker and Harry Kane's been starting as the number 10 and looking absolutely amazing, by the way, in that role, Harry Kane. What a player he is. But we'll see what happens, whether it's Bayern that do buy him or indeed another European Champions League club. We'll see what happens. But Emmanuel Omega's essentially coming in to replace him, the Strasbourg striker. So let's take a look at some statistical comparisons between Omega and Nicolas Jackson on Understat. Right, though it's a limited sample size, we're going to start with this season. Omega's got 221 minutes to Nico Jackson's 178 minutes. Now, you have to consider neither are playing in the Prem, but Jackson's playing for the behemoth Superforce in the German league of Bayern Munich, and Emmanuel Omega's been playing for little old Strasbourg in the French league, though they are looking like one of the best teams in France at the moment. With this limited sample size, you can see Omega being represented in the green on the spider chart. He is massively outperforming Jackson. Jackson has been much more creative. Over 2.5 key passes per game from Jackson is actually very good, and he's been useful in the build-up. But in terms of XG chain per 90, expected assists per 90, assists per 90, shots per 90, expected goals per 90, and goals per 90, Omega blows Jackson out of the water. Rather frustratingly, but, not unsurprisingly for a young striker, Emmanuel Omega is slightly underperforming his XG, but, Nicolas Jackson did that every season for Chelsea. He's getting 0.81 goals per game, of course, limited minutes, but that is an insanely elite return. And the fact how he's taking over 4 shots per game is what I want to see from my centre forward at Chelsea. Now, I'm about to switch over to a bigger sample size. So this season plus the whole of last season. Now, of course, Emmanuel Omega's a young player and he's only been just growing into himself. And Jackson's more developed and has played at a higher level for longer. So take that into account. Let's switch over. But despite those disclaimers and with that bigger sample size, both around 2,500 minutes, Omega still trumps Nicolas Jackson. To his credit, and he does deserve praise for this, Nico Jackson still does a lot of key passes per 90. He is creative and selfless a lot of the time. But other than that, it's Omega that trumps Jackson. He's scoring over a goal every other game, and despite taking less shots per 90 than Nico, very, very good. But just like Nico, he's underperforming his XG, so his finishing needs to get better, but Jackson's finishing needs to get better. We know that. But they do seem to be similar players in how they play. They make the attack better. But the more I look at it, Emmanuel Omega does excite me. He is similar in profile. I don't think he's going to come in and be amazing, but, people said the same thing about Cole Palmer, didn't they? So, statistics to be positive about. Ultimately, guys, we'll learn a lot more through this season. How good Delap performs, does Joao Pedro play the centre forward in other game states? Do we find a way to make it work better than it has been recently? But ultimately, the return of Delap's going to be really, really big for us, and we'll learn more by the time we get to the end of the season. We'll say, right, conventional centre forwards, Liam Delap, Emmanuel Omega, other players that can go in a pinch. I still think Yu needs a really good high-profile loan to be a starting striker. He's 20 years old, Mark Yu. Do you know what I mean? Let him go on long-term loans, become a 23-year-old, and if he's an amazing 23-year-old in Europe, come back and be like, you could be Chelsea striker, mate. Of course, we know the truth of Mark Yu, that is, he costs £5 million, and if any club comes sniffing around and says, we'll give you £20 million for Mark Yu, Chelsea might go, thank you, another one where we triple or quadruple our profits. That's what they do, so I feel like that would be too good for them to turn down, but maybe they put a buyback clause in for £40 million, so that if he becomes this superstar, they're like, thank you, you can come home, mate. We'll see what happens there. Right, we're going to switch over to DataMB now as a platform for stat comparisons, and we're going to start with the wingers. So we're going to look at Garnacho and Jamie Gittins, but we're going to use last season's data to compare. So, of course, that is Jamie Gittins at Borussia Dortmund, and that is Alejandro Garnacho at Man United. Both suffered, tricky seasons for different reasons, but we can still look at their profile and style. Here we go, slightly different spider graph because it's a different website. Garnacho's in blue and Gittins is in red. Both have a good sample size in terms of minutes. Both have relatively good strength. I mean, the thing here with Garnacho is he has a stronger non-penalty expected goals and expected assists. So in terms of getting in areas where you expect a forward to get assists and goals, it is Alejandro Garnacho. But really, in everything else, and crosses as well, he'll put a cross in more. But Gittins, yeah, I understand why Gittins will put in less crosses, because he wants to take a man on. He wants to do 1v1s. Now, Gittins is stronger for actual assists, but that would be a little bit unfair on Garnacho because it's basically poor finishing. Rasmus Højlund not finishing the chances he's putting on his foot. But saying that, Gittins has got very strong numbers. Again, I won't hold crosses against him because that's a playstyle thing. He's better at carrying the ball, he's better at key passes, he's better at dribbling, and he's actually got more non-penalty goals. So he's finishing when in the position to shoot. It's actually been quite good for Dortmund last season. Kind of different players. Garnacho, very good at being a pressure release valve, running in behind, receiving the ball, putting a cross in for the striker, where Jamie Gittins will want to keep the ball at his feet, take a man on 1v1 and maybe pop off shots. In fact, he could be a little bit akin to a Noni Madueke on the left side. I know we saw Noni play on the left wing a little bit for Chelsea, Arsenal and England, but Gittins is a left-sided player, predominantly. That's, he wants to cut in on his right foot, take shots and do lots of 1v1s and dribbles. I mean, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but I do want to reiterate, a lot of people say, when this kid gets confident and comfortable, he will pop off. He's 20 years old, he's moving countries, he's coming to Chelsea. I know 20 years old. It's difficult when you've got an 18-year-old and Steval come in and be like, this is easy, and you're 2 years older and going, this is hard. It's not a great look for you, but let's all just have a, take a deep breath here and go, he's 20 years old, If you give him a season to settle, he'll be 21. He'll be just old enough to drink in America. Do you know what I mean? He's still going to be very young, these players. Now, you might be going, Jan, we don't have time for players to settle in. This is Chelsea. We need to be good now. I tend to agree, but also we need to compromise a little bit, and I do think Gittins will come good for Chelsea. I think we've looked at stat comparisons with him before, but I wanted to remind you because we're probably going to start seeing more of Gittins as these games come thick and fast. Right, let me know what you think about Jamie Gittins, and let's end and look at some goalkeepers. Most notably two Chelsea goalkeepers, Mike Penders and of course our very own Robert Sanchez. Penders having a sort of up and down time for Strasbourg, showing he could put in excellent performances, but wobbly moments too. And as Chelsea fans, we know all about Rob Sanchez, capable of the brilliant, capable of the quiet consistency, and capable of reminding us, oh yeah, I can screw up big times and I'm never going to iron this out of my game. I know he's got some believers in the Chelsea fan base, and I totally respect that. I've sort of made my mind up on him. I've just seen too much of him to think he's going to change massively. But let's look at the stats comparison now and go over to Penders versus Sanchez. So here we go. This is for this season actually, so relatively small sample size, but both all over 700 minutes as starting goalkeepers. Now, the PSXG/GA or -GA, yes, that's confusing, but basically, without going too complex, that's a very positive statistics for Robert Sanchez. It basically means post-shot expected goals minus goals against. Basically, the highest number, the better. Other than that, pretty easy to understand. Looks like they have the exact same save percentage. Rob Sanchez is, of course, a 27-year-old, and Penders is 20, I think, so he's a lot younger. Sanchez, very good in the air, aerials 1. I wonder if that's a stylistic thing, but Penders, very low numbers. And interceptions, which is great. You've got to be aggressive as a goalkeeper. So giving flowers to Rob Sanchez where it is earned. Now, everything else, passing, is much, much stronger with Mike Penders. This is why they've profiled him early doors. You could say, well, they've both got the same save percentage, but Penders is way better at passing the football. That's enough for me. But that would be a little bit unfair of Rob Sanchez with the other stuff that he's doing, like the high claims and the aerials 1, which is really important in the Premier League. But passes, as you can see here, longer pass percentage, success percentage, and sure, much stronger than Rob Sanchez. I do understand why they are waiting to see how Penders does throughout the entire season. A bigger sample size, keeping their powder dry, because if he sort of settles into the team more, they finish in a Champions League place, which they could very much do. They were top of the Ligue 1 the other day. I think they've just been pipped. Are they still top of Ligue 1? I'm not entirely sure. But point being, they're playing very well. If they do qualify for the Champions League, he's a big part of that. Maybe they'll have a sit down next summer and they go, right, do we bring someone in or do we trust Penders? I do have a feeling that unless Rob Sanchez has like a really good consistent season and sort of does no more silly high-profile mistakes, they'll probably say, well, let's not change Sanchez. You know, we've finished and say, let's just play a theoretical game here. We finished top 3, we got to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, and we won a cup, Carabao Cup or FA Cup. That would be a really successful season for Chelsea's return to a Champions League campaign, and Rob's in the goal. All right, let's keep him. Maybe if not so great, and maybe if he's culpable for a few errors, they'll go, right, is Penders ready, or do we bring someone in? There's no way Jorgensen's getting there, Chelsea's number 1. But interesting to look at the stats for the moment. So let me know your thoughts on that. Please do leave your opinions down in the comment section. And let's wind up today's video by thanking you for joining me. Of course, do keep it locked. Daily content, daily Chelsea news videos, and of course match reactions after games. So thank you for liking, thank you for subscribing, and I hope to see you back here very soon, mate. Alright, peace.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double. Silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo, chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I laugh me, baby.